What I'm going to do today is walk you through the finer points of how to lay out and format any document in Word, but as it relates specifically to the group written portion of the proposal. So the first thing you want to tackle is what's called your front matter. Now this is actually the template that I use that I'm going to be uploading for you, and I've stripped out all the major formatting so that you can see me do it. You want to start with a blank page, and you want to put your project's title, the course, the date, and then your group member names on it. But you want this to appear in the middle of the page. Now some people would sit there and hit the enter key until you can guess where the middle of the page is. However, there's a much simpler way to do it. Choose page layout, then come here to page setup. You see you have margins, paper. Under the layout tab, for page you choose vertical alignment, center. And Word will automatically put that in the middle of the page for you. The problem is, though, if you're not careful, that formatting will bleed over into the next page, and you don't want the rest of it centered in the middle of the page. So this is where it becomes really important that you learn how to navigate breaks. So we're still under the page layout here. You see it says margins, orientation, size. Choose breaks in the drop down. You want to choose section break, next page, because that means you can format within the boundaries of that section, which you can see if you do this, and it doesn't bleed into the next section. So we're going to take this page break out, and now this is what we have. It says table of contents, and I'm going to show you today how to auto-generate that table of contents so that you don't have to go and try to do this anymore. Introduction, and then you put lots of little dots until you think you get there. There's a much simpler and easier way to do that, but you have to learn how to navigate Word. So we're coming back to the table of contents. I want you to pay attention up here to styles. If this is something you've never worked in, which a lot of people haven't, this is just kind of a crash course. So introduction is going to be my first major heading in this document, and I want to set it up as a heading 1. Now see, it does it in blue. That isn't exactly how I want it to look, but I can go in and make all those adjustments. So I want it in black, and I'm going to choose as soon as it comes up. I want it in all caps. Okay, and then I want to give it a line underneath it, just like that. So that's my first major heading. And I also want it to be the same font. I've been using Arial 14, so I want to choose here Arial 14. You want to keep that consistency in your documents. So now what I have up here is I've set all the parameters of what my heading 1s will look like. But historical information is not a major heading, it's a subheading. So I want it to be a heading 2. And now look, I need to make my adjustments. I'll make it black. I want to make it Arial. There you go. And we'll drop this down to 12. And I don't want the line underneath it because this indicates visually to the reader that this is a major heading, this is a subheading. So notice here how we've changed. And when I click down here into the body, it just stays at normal. And that's perfect. So current situation is now going to be my next subheading under introduction. I go up, I highlight historical information, which should highlight as heading 2, and I choose my format painter. Then I come back into the document, I simply highlight current situation, and it should now have, I have to make a few small adjustments, like with the capitalization, but it's set to a heading 2 as well. I promise you this becomes important. So as we go on through, this is the body. Impact becomes, well, actually we might do this. Let's make current situation an A-level head, a first heading. There you go. So impact becomes the subheading. And I'm going to come up here, find historical information, use my format painter, change it. All I have to do now is choose all caps under font. Okay, perfect. And that should show as heading 2. Yep. Next up, I'm going to choose solutions. And that's going to be a major heading. So I'll do this. Okay, and I can go in and fix all the spacing, which we will in just a minute. Choose impact because I want that here. Benefits, the benefits to the solutions, that's logically makes sense, that's there. And then conclusion becomes its own major section. So I've put those into the body, and I've got weird things going on with stuff being centered in the middle of the page, and I have some suspicions where that's coming from, and I'll fix it in a minute. Now I'm going to get to what's called the back matter, and that's all the stuff that comes at the back of the text that isn't the actual meat and bones. So in your textbooks, it's normally an index. It might be your appendices. You will have at least Appendix A, which is bibliography here. And after this cover page, you will find that you will have, and we're going to fix our headings because we want that to be in alignment. There we go. Except I don't want a line for there on that cover page, and I want to center it. There we go. And now I have a subheading. I'll go up here and grab my subheading for bibliography. Now Appendix A is where you house all your sources for your paper. There are those of you who may choose to put your visuals in the back matter of the paper, and so you will create a new heading, new cover sheet, and it will be called Appendix B Visuals, and then you will follow the same format. In the actual example that I put up for you guys to walk through, I go through how to format all that in there. And here we have a dog to show you how that figure would show up. That would go in Appendix B. Otherwise, you can choose to put it in the body of the paper. Notice it does not count towards page count. So no, you can't have an entire page that takes up visuals. You only need 3 to 5 pages of actual meat and bones. And just in my example, I've produced almost 3, just giving you direction. So you guys shouldn't be too challenged by that. So I've gone in, I've put in all those headers, and I've used my styles. Now this is what I can do. If I go back to the top, to table of contents. Now I physically typed that in. I'm going to put a little break there, and I'll fix all the formatting in a second. I'm going to go to references, table of contents, if you can see it over here on the left, and I'm going to choose automatic table 1. And what Word does is it goes back and it reads what you put in terms of format. So those here, header 1s and header 2s, now get auto-generated. So if I go in and I make a change, and I change this from impact to say restrictions, just for the sake of conversation, I can come back up here and I can simply see how the gray box shows up, right click, update field, and it will change it automatically for me. The days of hitting your period button are over, trying to line those up. So now what I want to do is get everything cleaned up for you. Take out that extra space at the top. And because I wanted the literal title table of contents to reflect the same that I have in my paper in terms of font and size, I'm going to go ahead and take this out. And I can do that simply just like that. Now what I'm going to have to do is go back and insert another break. I'm going to do a page or a section break next page. So now I'm back at my home screen. I want to make sure that's there. Go to page layout just to double check that that centering did not bleed through, and look, it did. Top. And that is exactly why I was seeing that one page that was jogged down. And you can go back in and clean it up, but herein you need to be careful because I wanted this in the middle of the page. So what you see here is it's already embedded in there. See? I'm going to go in and I'm going to insert another section break on the next page so that this way I can take Appendix A. My formatting jumped around. Let me fix that. And I can have that in the center of the page without any issues. And I want no border on it. And sometimes it's hard to see. I'll take that down. Sometimes Word fights with you. There you go. And there we go. So then the next page should start right at the top. And those are the basic things that you should worry about in terms of how to format in this group paper that you'll be submitting. As always, you're not bound to my templates. They're there to help you. What I do recommend is that you read through it. In the template that I'm about to upload, there are a lot of comments to direct you, to show you how to do things like interview citations, how to incorporate those into the body of what you're doing, how to make sure that you're being consistent. And look, it's doing it again. So I'm glad we came through here. And this page, it looks like once again this section has managed to end up being centered, and I don't want that. So I want to go back in here and fix my page layout. See, and sometimes with Word you just have to be patient, and that should still be in the center. It is. Okay. What I do want is for you to make sure that you're being very consistent. A lot of times what I'll see is that there'll be space here but not here, or space here, and then you get down to the next subheading and there's no space under. You just want to look through all of those things. The template will remind you of all of that, and I have a guide sheet for the written portion just like I did for the online presentation. Please take the time to read through, because I give you a lot of information on what each section should look like. So I hope that this video will help you in terms of how to navigate some of the trickier aspects of the format for the group paper. And you want to get kind of comfortable with it, because a lot of these same elements are going to show up in your final project as well. If you have any questions, please let me know.